Sepp Dietrich was a senior figure in Nazi Germany whose career followed the rise and fall of Adolf Hitler's regime. His life shows how personal loyalty, military ambition, and the violent ideas of the Nazi state came together in one individual. Understanding his story requires recognizing both the role he played in shaping the SS and the severe harm caused by the organizations he helped lead. This biography explains his background, his involvement with the Nazi movement, his military career, and his fate after the Second World War, using simple language and keeping the focus on facts rather than glorifying his actions. Sepp Dietrich was born in 1892 in Hawangen, a village in southern Germany. He came from a modest family and had no special advantages growing up. As a young man, he worked a number of ordinary jobs, including time as a butcher's apprentice and hotel worker. Like many men of his generation, his life changed dramatically when the First World War began in 1914. He joined the German army and served mainly in the cavalry. The war left him with some military experience and a sense of loyalty to Germany's defeated army, but it did not give him any formal military education that higher officers usually had. After Germany's defeat in 1918, many veterans felt frustrated by social unrest, economic hardship, and the collapse of the old political system. Dietrich was among those who drifted into paramilitary groups that formed during this unstable period. These groups often mixed nationalism with resentment and violence toward political opponents. Dietrich fit easily into this environment, and it brought him into contact with the early Nazi movement. Dietrich joined the Nazi Party in the early 1920s and soon became a loyal follower of Adolf Hitler. Even in these early years, Hitler valued Dietrich less for his military skill and more for his dependability and willingness to follow orders. Dietrich became part of the small group of men responsible for protecting Hitler at rallies and meetings. This role helped shape the early SS, which started as a tiny personal guard unit and later grew into a major part of the Nazi state. Dietrich played an important role in turning that guard into a larger force, though he did not create the broader ideology behind it. In 1923, Hitler attempted to seize power in Munich in what became known as the Beer Hall Putsch. The coup failed, many Nazis were arrested, and the movement temporarily collapsed. Dietrich was involved but did not become widely known because of it. When the Nazi Party rebuilt after Hitler's release from prison, Dietrich continued to rise within the SS. His value came not from strategic brilliance, but from his absolute loyalty and his image as a tough, reliable man who would do whatever the leadership demanded. By the late 1920s and early 1930s, the SS was turning into an elite formation within the growing Nazi movement. Dietrich commanded the SS group stationed in Munich, a key center of Nazi activity. When Hitler took power in 1933, Dietrich's status rose even further. He became the head of Hitler's personal bodyguard unit, known as the Leibstandarte SS. The Leibstandarte eventually developed into a full military division within the Waffen-SS, the armed wing of the SS. Dietrich was closely involved in some of the early violent events that followed Hitler's appointment as Chancellor. In 1934, Hitler ordered a purge of members of the SA, a rival Nazi paramilitary organization, in what came to be known as the Night of the Long Knives. Dietrich and men under his command carried out part of this purge, which included the arrest and killing of high-ranking SA members and others the regime viewed as enemies. Although Dietrich was not the planner, he helped execute the violent operation, which strengthened the SS and cemented his role as a trusted figure in Hitler's inner circle. As Germany prepared for war, Dietrich's position became more military. Although he lacked traditional officer training, he was placed in command roles because Hitler trusted him. The Leibstandarte expanded into a regiment and then into a full division. Dietrich led this unit into action when Germany invaded Poland in 1939 and later in the Western Campaign of 1940. Reports from these campaigns show that his troops were aggressive but also involved in war crimes, including killings of prisoners. Dietrich's leadership style emphasized toughness and devotion to Hitler, which contributed to the brutal behavior of the units he commanded. During the invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941, Dietrich continued to command Waffen-SS forces. These units fought on some of the harshest fronts of the war. As the conflict grew more destructive, the Waffen-SS gained a reputation for both fierce fighting and widespread involvement in atrocities. Dietrich's senior position meant he bore responsibility for the conduct of his men, even when he did not personally give illegal orders. His ability as a battlefield commander was sometimes praised within the Nazi system, but many professional German officers looked down on him because he lacked formal training. Later in the war, Dietrich commanded a larger formation called the 6th SS Panzer Army. This unit took part in the Battle of the Bulge in late 1944, Germany's last major offensive in the West. During this campaign, one of the Waffen-SS units under his wider command carried out the killing of American prisoners near the Belgian village of Malmedy. The massacre became one of the most infamous war crimes committed by Waffen-SS troops on the Western Front. While Dietrich did not order this specific act, he was held responsible for the behavior of the troops under his authority. As Germany's situation collapsed in 1945, Dietrich attempted to lead his remaining forces in defensive battles, but it was clear the war was lost. In May 1945, he surrendered to Allied forces. With the end of the war, attention turned to holding major Nazi leaders accountable for their actions. Dietrich was tried by an American military court for his responsibility in the Malmedy killings. He was convicted and sentenced to life in prison, though the sentence was later reduced. After serving part of his term, he was released in 1955. Dietrich faced another trial in West Germany not long after his release. This time he was tried for his role in the Night of the Long Knives, the purge carried out more than 20 years earlier. The court found him guilty of involvement in unlawful killings, and he served additional time in prison before being released again. By this point, he was an aging man with declining health, and he lived quietly until his death in 1966. After the war, Dietrich became a figure used by some former Waffen-SS members in their efforts to shape a more favorable image of the organization. Groups that tried to present the Waffen-SS as purely a fighting force, separate from the crimes of the Nazi regime, sometimes pointed to men like Dietrich as examples of loyal soldiers. However, historical research shows clearly that the Waffen-SS was deeply tied to the ideology and crimes of the Nazi state, and that leaders like Dietrich played significant roles in creating and directing such forces. Understanding Sepp Dietrich's life helps explain how individuals can rise within violent political movements through loyalty and obedience, rather than skill or leadership qualities. It also shows how personal devotion to a leader can lead people to commit or enable wrongdoing on a large scale. Dietrich chose to support a system based on racism, aggression, and oppression, and he held high authority within organizations that carried out many of the worst actions of the Nazi regime. While some of his supporters after the war tried to portray him as simply a soldier, his career shows that he was much more than that. He helped build the SS, participated in political violence, commanded units known for brutality, and was held legally responsible for war crimes. His life reflects the dangers of a system that rewards loyalty over ethics and encourages blind obedience to harmful ideology. Sepp Dietrich remains a historical figure whose story is tied closely to the crimes of the Nazi state. Learning about him can help explain how authoritarian movements operate, how they use force to maintain power, and how people become entangled in systems that cause widespread suffering. His biography serves as a reminder of the human choices and actions behind large historical events, and the real consequences those choices have on the world. Thanks for watching. If you have a thought on Sepp Dietrich, drop it in a comment below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe.